102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
One quickly, if you can explain this to me, Steve. Elon Musk says AI and robotics, they're the only means to solve the more than $38 trillion national debt crisis. Do you agree?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
You know, look, how do you grow the economy? You grow it two ways. You grow your labor force, more people working and more working workers being more productive. And we're going to see the biggest productivity revolution in the history of mankind over the next 20 years. It means we'll be able to produce 2 to 3 times as much product as we did with the same number of man hours. So that's going to huge increases in output. And so I'm very excited about the AI thing. I'm on
It is the Martha Zoller Show. That's Steve Moore, who we might talk to later today. He may call in. We'll see what happens there around 10:30. You never know with Steve. He's so busy, but he has been a long time supporter of the program, and we love having him on. But there's several really big things that are going on that are good, that are not political, okay? And they're good because they're good for our economy. They're good because it is a positive view of our economy. And you're not going to believe the source of one of them. It's a thing called the Deal Book Summit 2025 that included, listen to this lineup, Scott Bessent, Gavin Newsom, Dario Amodi, who's from Anthropic, General Motors CEO Mary Barra, Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong, Erica Kirk, Jimmy Donaldson from Mr. Beast, who my grandkids love, Mr. Beast, Alex Karp, Larry Fink, and Halle Berry. What an interesting kind of range of speakers and viewpoints. It's put on by the New York Times, and Scott Bessent did not hold back on the problems with the New York Times. But it was a calm, collected conversation that if you get to the end of it, you're going to really learn something. Gavin Newsom said some things. Gavin Newsom is in his reasonable Democrat mode, not his attack Trump mode in this thing. So we're going to play a few clips from that for some other things. There's also out there on the Joe Rogan podcast an interview with the head of NVIDIA. And this guy is the most interesting man in the world, kind of like that beer commercial from a number of years ago.
That's the one, yeah.
He is the most interesting man in the world. And he's very cool. I mean, and a lot of family working at NVIDIA. Both of his kids work there. His CEO or his, comparable to him is a relative also. It's kind of a family business, which you wouldn't think that a company that size would be. But it's a very interesting thing. We're going to play a little bit from him, too. But we're going to also talk a little bit more about the Trump accounts. So just to clarify, lots of people are clumping these things together. The thing that Michael Dell and Susan Dell did and the Trump accounts. They are not the same thing, although they do the same thing, which is teach young people how to invest from an early age and to get on the way to a nest egg, okay? So you've got the one thing, and it's so funny, I'm so aware of when I say okay, Logan, because my sister, Pam, who listens to me on Wednesdays, not on Thursdays, because she lives in South Carolina, so I can talk about you today, Pam. My sister, Pam, said, Martha, you say okay too much, and sometimes I say too much also. So now I'm catching it every time I say it. And, it's like, Pam, you should have kept your opinions to yourself.
No, see, I do the same thing whenever I'm talking and I say or because in college I took a speech class, and you'd go up there, you give a speech, and every time you would say or something like that, you'd have to restart the whole thing. So I learned quick to eliminate that from my my vocabulary. So I agree with you. Look, we have words, we say a lot, right? That's just how it is. And like you said, sometimes if your sister tells you about it, and
I think it's appropriate though sometimes to put them in there. Is never appropriate, and that I have to catch myself on every now and then when I get lazy. But it is one of those things that you have to be aware of, and I'm painfully aware at this moment. So it's one of those things. But the AI economy, when I listen to, and I want you to look up the pronunciation of the president of NVIDIA. It's Jensen, Huang. Look up the pronunciation for me because I don't want to say it wrong. But he is a brilliant guy. And he says some great things about Donald Trump in this interview with Joe Rogan about how he's a good listener. And we are seeing this week the business guy, Donald Trump. He's making cars more affordable. He's bringing more manufacturing here, and he's got AI. You know, he saved AI. The president of NVIDIA said that he saved AI in this country.
And I got it here, Martha. President of NVIDIA is Jensen Huang.
Huang.
That is it.
Okay. So it's that makes sense because when I looked up his Wikipedia page this morning, he has a American version of his name.
Oh, okay.
And he has, which is Jensen Huang. And then there's the Chinese version. He's Taiwanese originally, moved to the United States when he was very young, clearly grew up in California. You listen to this guy talk, he's a California guy.
He's got the dialect and everything,
he's got the accent. And he went to the University of Oregon and then went to Stanford and started NVIDIA in 1993. And is just amazing. Is just an amazing guy. He's somebody he's one of the people that once a month I send an interview request to. There's 5 or 6 I'll never get people, but I still try. I still try because you never know.
You don't know if you don't try.
You don't know. Some of the best interviews I've ever gotten have been from people that I didn't think I could get, and I went through and got it. So I hope that you will like what we're going to lay out today, because what's happening this week they're not talking about Epstein. Have you noticed that? Not talking about Epstein. Jack Smith is going to be testifying to the Judiciary Committee, I believe, today. There are things going on, but what Trump is talking about is making cars more affordable for people, talking about gas prices coming down, talking about the AI revolution. He's talking about all the things that are about the good sides of what he gets done. He's showing his sense of humor. I think he got some rest over Thanksgiving, although from his Truth Social post, it does not appear he got any rest. But he's more refreshed, and he's more focused on what's important, which is getting things done for the American people that they can see in their pocketbooks. That is just as simple as it gets. They have to be able to see it in their pocketbooks, meaning you and I. It's not him or, shall we say, Democrats telling us that it's good. And what I mean by Democrats telling us good, that's what they told us all last year. It's good. You know, you're not right. It's all that stuff. We can't do it. It's fine. And guess what? Voters voted them out. If we do that, and we were starting to do that, telling people everything's fine when it's not, because if you don't feel that it's fine. Now, granted, I just went on a cruise. I was on a boat full of people that I'm sure had a lot of stories behind what they appeared, but everybody was having a good time. They were traveling over Thanksgiving. They were doing great things. They had fun. I think there are a lot of good things going on, and I will tell you, gas prices from the time we drove down on Wednesday to when we drove back on Monday went down like 7 cents, to the point where we noticed it, and we made sure we filled up almost at every place we could that had the cheap gas. They're up a little higher here than they were in South Georgia and North Florida. But it's something that you notice. So you want gas prices to go down. You want energy prices to go down. You want to be able to buy a new car where you get to make a deduction on your interest on your car. They used to do that. And they're going to loosen up some of these, what they call cafe standards, not because they want to make the air dirty, but because they want to make cars more affordable. Do you know what the average price of an American car is right now? $50,000. If you're making, and the average salary is around $55,000. If you're going to pay an annual salary on a car, and I got to tell you, I come from the Clark Howard School, where if you cannot pay that car off in 3 years, you should not buy it. This 7-year, 10-year car payment, that's crazy. Because you're going to pay $100,000 for this $50,000 car. So what they're trying to do is get some prices on cars down. Luxury cars are always going to be expensive. But the average person just wants, look, I drive a 2018 CRV. Milton Martin Honda does a great job for me because I've bought 7 cars from them over the years. And since 2001, I've bought 7 cars. So that's one every few years. I know they're expecting me to buy another one soon, and who knows, I might. I'm kind of thinking I'm going to drive this one into the ground, though, because it's a CRV and you just can't kill it. You just can't kill it, and it's a very good car. But I have, if they can loan me a car when I need a van or something like that, they will do that. So they take good care of me, so I'm always going to go back there. But there's lots of things we got to understand. The average person just wants a nice CRV or an Accord or a Civic, but they don't want to pay $50,000 for it. We'll take a break.
It's the news that affects you and the talk that keeps you listening.
We'll continue on with additional discussions today as we stay engaged.
North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Christmas is such a joyful season, but with all the cleaning, cooking, and planning, joyful can turn to stressful. So leave the cooking to Loretta's Country Kitchen. This is Grant Nichols, and at Loretta's, we can cater all your holiday gatherings at home or at the office. Call us at 770-535-0703 to place your order for pickup on Tuesday the 23rd. Be sure to check out lorettascountrykitchen.com for complete details. And don't forget, we're now open for breakfast and lunch on Saturdays at Loretta's, Monday Mill Road, Oakwood, where it's all good.
Whether it's a slip that ends in a slip disc, a trick knee that's holding you back, or shoulder pain hurting your game, you can count on Northside Hospital Orthopedics. With leading care in Georgia at convenient locations all across the state, we're here to get you back on your feet, no matter what comes your way. Because Georgia moves us, and we keep Georgia moving. Find a provider near you at northside.com/ortho. That's northside.com/ORTHO.
You wouldn't want someone you couldn't trust working on your family's HVAC and plumbing, so why would you call anyone but Gainesville Mechanical? They're your local, most trusted and award-winning HVAC and plumbing company in North Georgia. From maintenance appointments and clogged drains to plumbing emergencies and new system installations, their team is ready to serve you. And with their customer assurance maintenance plan, you can receive discounts, priority scheduling, and 24/7 no overtime rates. Gainesville Mechanical and Bryant, doing whatever it takes since 1989.
An official message from Medicare.
Couple more minutes, and we'll start this month's book club.
You know, I usually love a plot twist, but this year, I'm comparing my options during Medicare open enrollment.
You can't assume your current health or drug plan is the best one for you.
And you gotta make sure your drugs are covered. That's important.
So is saving money.
Review all your options at Medicare.gov. Open enrollment ends December 7th. Paid for by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, 16 members of the 1-8 Trey Gangster Bloods in Barrow County are convicted following a large-scale investigation. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Tom Castrator, sir. I'm the chairman of National Automobile Dealers that represent 18,000 dealers in the country, along with 3,000 heavy-duty truck dealers. And what the actions that you've done as the president and your administration is definitely going to save our customers money. And you made your promises that let the consumer buy what they want, sir, and you delivered on that. And the other thing that you delivered was your promise in the big, beautiful bill, the tax deduction on loans that had gone away some years back. Right. And now that makes it affordable for our buyers that can save money through that loan of the tax, anywhere from several hundred to several thousand. So again, sir, on behalf of all the dealers and our customers, we appreciate what you and your administration have done, and of course our legislative support as well, Mr.
So that was the head of the Auto Dealerships Association, and Donald Trump talking about how they are going to make cars more affordable for everyone. And that's good for dealerships. That's good. And you think about your local dealership. He or she is involved in the community. They do things for the community. They're a nice small business. They're privately owned. It is a great thing that we need to encourage. There's no doubt about that. So it's exciting what's happening. I love what they're doing this week. It's talking about business. Now, here's the challenge, okay? I cut the cord, but I look for news. So I read news. I read the Wall Street Journal every day. I look at things around. I watch X. I go and watch international news as well as local news, and I listen to podcasts. But I do put boundaries around. We talked about this. I'm going to give up my phone for a week. After Christmas, I'm not going to do anything but use phone calls and text messages, and then I'm not going to do anything else for a week. And I'll tell you if I stick to it, I will. But there are a lot of things out there that are good that are happening. But do you get through? So Logan works in a news department. Okay, so he hears the news that's going on, sort of peripherally aware. But I worry that even though the president's doing great things this week, that if you are watching a certain kind of news, you're not going to hear about that. How do we get the message out?
I feel that, whenever you look at news, and especially nowadays more so than ever, it's curated on what you like. You don't get the full picture on a lot of stuff. It's what your talking points are, who you enjoy if you have certain either news organizations or at this point, Martha, content creators. I mean, we talked about, podcasts and how influential they were over the past election, and that's kind of how things are. I get all my news. I don't watch a whole lot of cable television or anything along those lines. I have the channels, but I see most of my stuff kind of in real time on social media.
What I love a lot about what's happening with podcasts is, and this kind of thing, this is long form, okay, just like a podcast is, because we have a lot of opportunity to interact, and you can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. You can also text us at that number, and we hope that you will do that. But I think we went so far in one direction where everything was clips. It has to be short. It has to be sweet. You have to get to it. Now I think we're getting back to a little more long form, and people are taking more time to listen to radio shows, to listen to podcasts. I mean, the Ruthless podcast, which is the number one political podcast, is an hour and a half long. Joe Rogan's a little long, but he's the number one podcast, I think, or maybe he goes back and forth with somebody, but he's one of the top podcasts. This one with the NVIDIA CEO was 2 hours long, but he's gone as long as 3 hours. I can't sit and listen for 3 hours.
It's tough for me to listen to stuff that long. I can do that for, for movies or stuff like that. That's one thing. I feel like that's different, but I feel a lot of people listen to, let's just say, podcasts whenever they're around the house. If you're doing chores or if you're, on a train or you're on a long car ride. What used to be, we'll put some albums on, is now, let me throw this podcast on for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and just kind of kill time there.
Well, and what I would say to folks is, and I don't care if you're a Democrat or Republican, I really don't, but look for ones that are going to enhance your knowledge and not just some people sitting around the table complaining about something. Because I think that's one of the big differences. There's this Jennifer Welch person who has started popping up everywhere. She used to be on Bravo doing a reality show, not surprising. And now she does a podcast where she just tries to use bad language and criticize people. And I just don't think that's healthy. I don't think it's healthy for her. I don't think it's healthy for anybody that listens to it. I think that what you got to find is something uplifting. And one of the things I've been working on for the last several months is something called TMI with Terrell and Martha. And it's a wellness podcast that I'm doing with Terrell Worcester, who owns the spa on Green Street. And we talk about wellness issues. Yesterday, we talked with a therapist that does Reiki is what it's called, and it's a way to calm down, a way to get yourself centered and to do things. But I learned about this wonderful thing called Project Yet, where they take this charity here in our community, takes young people that don't have a place to go. They've aged out of the foster care system, or they've had to leave home for some other reason. They're young, they're getting started, they're getting on their feet, and they'd be homeless if they didn't have Project Yet. And it's something I'm learning about. We're going to have her on to talk about that on the program, because I think it's one of those charities. It's local. It was developed local. It helps local people, and they're doing great work. and they're meeting a need. This is just why charity at home is so great, local charity, because they meet a need in your own community. So I think you got to find uplifting stuff to listen to. There's plenty of negative stuff to listen to, but you got to find uplifting stuff. And at the Jingle Mingle a couple of weeks ago, it was so kind that a couple of the people that came by, you never know when people come by to talk to you if they're going to say something you can do better or if they're going to say they like it. But I had several people say they feel like I give both sides. They know that I'm conservative, that I defend those conservative positions, but also I try to be fair about it and be positive about it. And hey, that's what I'm trying to do. So it's great that that's what you're hearing. So that's what we're trying to do when we look at anything that's happening here, because there is going to be, for lack of a better word, a war over the next year leading up to this election. And we have a decision to make. Are we going to look for the issues? Are we going to look for the people that best represent our values? And are we going to try to get people that are going to do the best things for America? Or are we going to vote for somebody because we're afraid of somebody else? That's not healthy. I know it's a tried and true tactic to go negative and try to scare the other side, scare your side so much that they will never vote for the other side. I know it works in certain situations, and there's a line of people that would line up and say, well, it works. It gets people mad. It gets them to the polls. But I don't think it's the right way to campaign, and I definitely don't think it's the right way to govern. I think that what we have to do is make sure we get back to something that's going to work well. Now, next up, Tristan Leavitt's going to join us. He's a West Virginia politician. He joined me on my trip to Israel. We're going to talk a little bit about that, what he learned while he was there, and then how he's applied it since we got back. Lots more to come right here on the Martha Zoller Show.
Check your pockets and you'll find a quarter ready to inspire you to visit the state you find on the back. It's America the Great on a podcast called Quarter Miles Travel, from Virginia's historic sites to the wide open plains of Montana, the low country rhythms of coastal Georgia to the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. Explore America based on the U.S. Mint State Quarters. Hi, it's Anita with Travel with Anita and Friends. Quarter Miles Travel is all about pride in our states and our country. The natural beauty, the history, landmarks, and interesting people all make our country an exceptional place to visit. Go to my website, travelwithanita.com, where you will hear the podcast with stories told by historians and people who know the little-known facts. So come along, let's go on an adventure. Reach in your pocket and pull out that quarter. Flip it over, and Quarter Miles Travel will take it from there. We'll help you turn that quarter into an adventure.
So it's time to replace your roof. You've seen your neighbor's metal roof and wondered if that's for you. The answer is yes, thanks to Dawsonville Metal Products. Metal roofing from Dawsonville Metal gives you the maximum choices for making your roof look and function its best. It can be installed over your existing roof and can boost your home's value. Let Justin Odom show you the many benefits of metal roofing. Call Dawsonville Metal Products at 706-265-3099 and visit them online at dawsonvillemetal.com.
WDUN is looking for the next Clark Griswold. Upload a picture of your outdoor Christmas light display at accesswdun.com. You could win a large turtle box, a stay at Lanier Islands Resort, or a downtown merchant's gift card. So light up North Georgia with Jackson EMC and North Georgia's News Talk. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 9:30. News. I'm Therese Crowley. The elusive D.C. pipe bomber is under arrest. Fox has learned a man in Virginia in FBI custody over the pipe bombs planted the night before the Capitol riot, who eluded capture 4 years. President Trump posting, "I'm dealing with the poisoning of America." As a Navy Admiral, Mitch Bradley briefs House and Senate leaders why the second killing strike on a narco-terror drug boat was not a war crime. With an ABC source reporting 2 crew scrambled back aboard after the first strike to salvage the drugs. The president also working on making cars more affordable, with the DOT rescinding Biden fuel economy standards of 55 miles a gallon.
There's basically no car anywhere in the U.S. that's being made that would meet that standard. So otherwise, what they're doing is they're trying to make everybody buy electric cars.
Economic Council Chair Kevin Hassett, the move expected to save $1,000 a vehicle. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and federal drug charges are now filed against a man arrested in Gainesville last month. WDUN's Caleb Hutchins has the latest.
44-year-old Gerardo Solorio Alvarado of Mexico was arrested at a home on Brownsbridge Road on November 21st after authorities said he was the driver of a BlackBerry truck found hours earlier to be containing hundreds of pounds of meth. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Georgia said Solorio Alvarado was indicted Tuesday on charges of conspiracy and possession of meth with intent to distribute. He was also reportedly found to have been in the U.S. illegally.
A group of entrepreneurs have started the process to open a new bank in Hall County. More from WDUN's Lawson Smith.
The group reportedly filed an application for a state charter non-member bank with the Georgia Department of Banking Finance. The individuals also applied for deposit insurance with the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. The proposed name for the bank is Private Bank and Trust.
And State Attorney General Chris Carr's gang prosecution unit has convicted 16 members of the 1-8 Trey gangster bloods in Barrow County. Following a large-scale investigation, among those convicted, Jamar Ramsey, the statewide leader of 1-8 Trey, who is currently serving a life sentence at Hayes State Prison in Georgia for a previous murder charge. More details and more news at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Great Thursday morning to you, North Georgia. It is overcast, quiet. That will be changing later. Low 50s for highs this afternoon. By this evening, here comes the rain. It'll be on and off rain through the overnight hours, lows around 40. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Houston, we currently have 41 degrees, in Dahlonega 38, and in Gainesville 39. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Shopping for your spouse on the holidays is tough, especially when your spouse is Santa and his little elves can make him whatever he wants.
We can make it for Santa, Santa, Santa.
Once, I knitted him a tummy control onesie to get down chimneys, and the elves one-upped me and made him a magical shrinking suit.
And we're awesome!
Like a big poinsettia blossom. It's like I can't win. But then I did win. I found the holiday scratchers from the Georgia Lottery, and those pesky elves can't make that. You hear that, elves?
Give the gift of up to $3 million with the holiday scratchers from the Georgia Lottery. Please play responsibly. Always check and sign your ticket.
Do you want to be one of Georgia's first 3 millionaires of 2026? You could when you play the new Georgia Millionaire Scratcher and enter the second chance promotion for a drawing on New Year's. So grab a Georgia Millionaire Scratcher from the Georgia Lottery at your favorite retailer today.
Tune in to WSB Channel 2 for your official Georgia Lottery drawing and check out the Players Club at galottery.com.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Let me ask you a separate question. We've long wanted to do one of these interviews in person right here in New York.
By the way,
and I
didn't answer your question, Andrew. I'll come to New York, okay?
And that was my question. Would you come to New York, given what the mayor has said about arresting you?
Yes, of course I will.
And you will test that? I mean, what is the thought about how that would work?
Well, why don't you wait and see? Yes, I'll come to New York. Okay.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and that's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who, I think Benjamin Netanyahu is like, whether you agree with his politics or not, he is a tough guy who's been through a lot, okay? And a little guy that gets elected to mayor of New York that says he's going to arrest him if he comes is not going to scare him. He's basically saying, let's try it. Come on, bring it on. He really should be a New Yorker because that's the way he's acting. Anyway, Tristan Leavitt is here with me today, and it's so great to talk with him. We spent a week together in Israel, and Tristan is an American attorney and a politician. You're the president of Empower Oversight, and you're a Republican member of the West Virginia House of Delegates. Thank you for being with me today.
Great to be with you, Martha.
So first of all, tell folks a little more about you and then how you ended up on this trip to Israel.
Sure. So my background was in congressional investigations. So for, straight out of law school, I started working for Senator Chuck Grassley. My first case as a little baby lawyer was investigating Operation Fast and Furious, the ATF gun running scandal. And so I worked a lot with whistleblowers and others to try and help improve government. But we had the opportunity to move from D.C. back to my wife's hometown of Charleston, West Virginia, about 4 years ago, and did that. And with all of my background in trying to make government better and to root out problems, I found there was a real need and a way to help in our state legislature. So I ran for the House of Delegates. And, in the course of that, you find that sometimes these issues that might seem so far away, like what's going on in Israel, really state capitals can have an impact on, and it's important for them to understand. So I was really happy to be able to go to Israel, and a lot being learned there that, again, I think a lot of people, certainly here in West Virginia with me, didn't understand and really haven't gotten the full background on.
What's the difference between working in the federal government structure in Congress and what you're doing in the House of Delegates?
They're very similar. I mean, the House of Delegates is part-time, but the dynamics in any state house to an extent, have, again, so many similarities. So one of the biggest differences is that, there are a lot of staff for members of Congress and for senators, and in a lot of state houses, there are not so many staff. And so as a former staffer myself, right, then, again, you know how to research and how to understand how a code works and trying to come up with the right language. But, for a lot of people who, again, have a day job and they're just here for 2 months out of the year, some of that can be very daunting. And so that really, I think, influences a lot of what happens, is that you really have to rely on the handful of staff that there are at the legislature to help inform some of the things. But, it's useful. You want people who are regulating insurance to understand, to have worked in the insurance industry. You want people who, no matter what the issue is, you want people who understand it. And, that's one of the advantages, I think, of part-time legislatures.
So on our trip, which we took the first week of November, what was the thing that surprised you the most? And what was the thing that you enjoyed the most?
I think the thing that surprised me the most was just, again, realizing that even though I, as a Republican and someone who consumes a lot of media, and a lot of it I'd say is fairly pro-Israel media, there was a lot about October 7th that I just had not learned before. And so it really made me feel like, again, I had not kind of understood or even been told kind of the full story of the scope and scale of the October 7th attacks, what their overall ambitions were. I had understood that Hamas had this idea that other, that Lebanon and other countries would join in Syria, but that I think it was not clear to me that the Israeli government had intelligence that this was being planned by various countries for a very long time together. And that and some other things, just going to sites and again, seeing kind of just the full scope of what was planned, to me was very, very surprising.
Well, and then before we go on to the thing that you enjoyed the most, for me, it was like this expectation that they had from intelligence that the Arab population within Israel would rise up and help Hamas. And that didn't happen. And what we learned from talking to folks in that community is that they feel very patriotic towards their country. They're not going to, the Remy that we met at the Nova site, and then the other folks that gave presentations to us that were part of the Arab Israeli community, they were as patriotic as anybody might be related to their own country.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I was aware, or I had heard before that, there is a 20% Arab population in Israel. There is a 20% Muslim population. Those are not the same. There's substantial overlap in those two numbers, but they're not the exact same 20%, right? There are some non-Muslim Arabs, and there are some non-Arab Muslims. But I think it's clear, anybody that looks at Israel, and again, like any country, they have their problems, but it's clear that they have found a way to make things work, right? To coexist, and it is a safe place to live, aside from the challenges that you see, right? Aside from external attacks, right? It is a well-run country. It's a place where if I knew nothing else, if I knew nothing about religion or race or anything else, if I'm just looking at like, where would I want my daughter to grow up, right? Like, it's a wonderful place to live. And so I think for so many families there, again, I think it's absolutely natural that people would feel allegiance, and patriotism, like you say, to say, hey, don't attack my country, even if I'm a Muslim or I'm an Arab.
Yeah, and so your favorite things that you saw?
Honestly, my favorite thing, I don't know what, I guess maybe it's just because I was so intrigued by this, but I loved talking to people who had grown up in the United States and had moved to Israel and even taken on Israeli citizenship. It just was so fascinating to me, and obviously the kind of overlap of religion and how people thought of their kind of dual loyalties, if you will, was just fascinating. But they had such a perspective on, obviously life as an American, and then here are things that we, have loved about being in Israel, and here are things that are very different, right? And so I really appreciate that. Separate from that, it's such a beautiful country, right? And so it just was really, I don't know, you understand when you say beautiful, it's not a typical thing, but just seeing the holy sites and these other things, right? You're just like, this is really a remarkable part of the world. It really is.
So we talked to Jonathan, the tour guide, earlier in the week, and he was one of those people that grew up in New York, lived his life until he went to college, in the United States, ended up going to Israel for some studies, met his wife, and that's why he stayed. But there was the tour guide we had at Yad Vashem was the same kind of story. She and her husband were New Yorkers. He was a doctor. She kind of made a little joke about how that was a sort of a cliche, a nice Jewish girl married to a doctor. And then they decide to come to, her husband says to her one day, there's a Jewish state, so we need to be there. And they move their whole family with 4 children and then have 3 more children after they get there. The thing that I thought, from a cultural standpoint, how people got along and how complicated it was. So they were making an effort to get along because it's a complicated situation. But also the hope that is involved in the fact there's so many families, Arab, Arab, Jewish, others, that are having big families, because that's a sign of hope, I think, when you have a big family.
Yeah, I think that is very true. And I did love that, as someone who has 5 children myself, right? And, just seeing the joy in that, but like you say, the hope in that they are planting roots, whether they are from there or not, but that it's a place that they expect to flourish and prosper for generations to come. And you're right, it is very much a sign of hope. And again, there's just so much joy in the now, in seeing that, right? And so the home where we did our Shabbat dinner, I just again, being inside someone's home and just feeling like there's very much kind of a shared sense of purpose in this family here.
And again,
it's a really special thing.
A family that grew up in the UK, or at least Ambassador Taub did, and then ended up living in Israel. And they have 6 children that all serve in the IDF. That was the other thing that, when we talked to lots of people, that they had served in the IDF, their children were serving in the IDF, and in some cases their parents served in the IDF.
Yes, and to me, what was so fascinating about that, I live about 8 minutes from our National Guard, base, here in Charleston, West Virginia, and but it's such a different thing, right? It's just a weekend here. The way we do the National Guard or the reserves is very different from okay, it's my IDF duty, so I'm just going to take a bus in, right, and then I'll be coming back. And so just the overlap with your daily life was really intriguing to me. That it's not just I take time and it's 2 years completely away from my family or anything else. That it's just, again, really kind of overlapping with your daily life, and then here are these other duties that you have to help protect the nation you love.
So the folks that we had from Kentucky who were serving in the legislature, they take away from them the idea of, maybe we need some kind of conscription again in the United States. It's an interesting thing, this service thing, because I heard this story more than once from people that served, whether it was the reservists that we had dinner with or other people that we came in contact with, that on October 7th, I heard this story over and over again. They started getting the messages. They had, I guess, this go bag that they must have with all their stuff they need, that when there's a crisis, they pick it up and they go. They go and they report. It's not even like a very complicated thing in a way. It's just they know that if there's a certain thing happening, they're going to put their uniform on and they're going to go and report.
Yeah, it is a very cool. And from the time I first learned, many years ago about the compulsory IDF service, I do think there's a real, there's both a shared understanding of, the complexities of that nation being where it is. And obviously then a skill set that the nation can draw upon in the future. And so there are ways that would be very beneficial here. Obviously, you look at, when the war in Iraq was ongoing, and it just the sense that it was just such a small segment of the population that was experiencing this, while most Americans were oblivious, right? And or might kind of generally say, well, yeah, I support X, Y, or Z, but there's just not the level of sacrifice and investment that obviously in, say, World War II or something you saw, where it was a shared thing. So many veterans coming back just felt so isolated and alone because nobody else is even paying attention to what they did, right? They go through all of this and people say, oh, where's that? I know nothing about this conflict. So I think Israel is really onto something with what they are doing.
Tristan Leavitt, if people want to know more about you, how can they find out more information?
If you're interested in the work with whistleblowers, so our work with like the IRS whistleblowers and the Hunter Biden case and things like that, the Empower Oversight website is the best place. Empower, EMPOWER, oversight.org is the place. And I also have a legislative website, but probably less interesting to your listeners. But the Empower Oversight website is the place.
So I got one more question to ask you, and this is a political one, so if you don't want to answer it, it's fine. So yesterday, it was announced that Jack Smith, the former special counsel, is going to be testifying to the Judiciary Committee. He says he offered to testify in the open, and they've decided to have it in, the Judiciary Committee chairman decided to have it in more private setting. What did you hear that news yesterday, and what do you think about it?
I didn't. I'm not surprised. I assume it was House Judiciary. Is that correct?
Yes. Jim Jordan.
Okay. So yeah. So I know Chairman Jordan's staff extremely well. I was coworkers with many of them. I think it's really common that if you have a lot of issues that you need to investigate, you do a private transcribed interview or deposition. A hearing, if you're just covering broadly a handful of issues, I think any American that's ever watched a hearing knows how frustrating it is that and it really is a shame that we've evolved to only this, but that the structure we have landed on, even though it could be changed, is 5-minute rounds of questions in which you can get so little information, and it's so easy to just slide around that. And so
everybody wants their click moment. It's not about getting any information out. It's about whoever, especially the minority party people, trying to play gotcha more than, that's what I don't like about it. It's certainly not like the Watergate hearings were, right?
Well, that's right. And you go back, again, if you really wanted something in a hearing, you have like one staff member who has the full-time ability. Obviously, members of Congress have so many different things they're trying to juggle, but have one staff member do the bulk of the questioning, right? And so, a private interview by staff, that's the way that if there's any investigative focus at all, that's the way you do it. You do that, and then you can use, both sides, Republicans and Democrats are there. Staff will ask questions in rounds of an hour each. So everybody has an equal opportunity, but then you can have a far more informed hearing on the basis of the information you've gathered than if you're just coming in blind and have no idea what he's going to say. So I think it's way more educational for the public and for what they're trying to accomplish to do exactly that, to do this private interview first.
Tristan Leavitt, thank you so much. I love your insight on that, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, great. Thanks so much,
Thank
Martha.
you. We're going to take a break, and then we'll be back.
What you see is what you get. I call it like I see it. What's right is right and what's wrong is wrong, ladies and gentlemen. We have always believed that on this radio program.
It's Todd Starnes, weekdays at noon on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Should you make your trust the beneficiary of your IRA? So many say you shouldn't, but we say you should. This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney, and if you want your IRA to be protected for your surviving spouse, children, or family, then you should leave it to them at your death through a trust. For more information, go to my website, kevintharp.com.
Some car dealers want to sell you a car. At Hardy Chevrolet, we'd rather help you find the vehicle that's right for you. This is Mike Cormier. We call it the Hardy Chevrolet difference. Since you're the one who will be in the driver's seat of that new Chevy, we think you should be in the driver's seat when it comes to making the selection. It's like Charles Hardy always said,
we love you and we need you.
Together, let's drive. At Hardy Chevrolet, Browns Bridge Road in Gainesville, online at hardychevrolet.com.
Are you frustrated with your contacts? Have your glasses become more of a burden? Well, don't suffer. Hi, this is Kim. Here at Advanced Eye Center, we offer all laser LASIK to free your eyes. When you consider not only the amount of money you pay for all of that eye gear, but also the amount of time you spend handling contacts, glasses, cases, solution, and eye drops, how can you not afford to have LASIK? Invest in you. Save your money, save your time at Advanced Eye Center. Vision correction for all ages.
It's bad enough you get wet when your roof leaks, so don't get soaked when it comes to getting it repaired. This is Chris Earls at Georgia Select Roofing, where we have outstanding Google reviews and an A+ BBB rating, because we know roofing and customer service. If it's a new roof, a roof repair, or gutters and downspouts, estimates are free and we offer financing. See us online at georgiaselectroofing.com or call me at 678-316-6899. At Georgia Select Roofing, we have you covered.
This is Mark Turner with Select Pest Control, and my grandkids want to tell you a story.
'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house,
not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. 'Cause they called Select Pest Control, duh. Select Pest Control wants to wish you Merry Christmas.
If you want to have a pest-free Christmas, give Select Pest Control a call at 770-536-8837. And Merry Christmas.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, the newest addition to the Hall County Animal Shelter makes its debut in Gainesville during Sunday's parade on Green Street. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical, from the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
The company wants me to succeed. You know, the thing that, and we started out today talking about President Trump, and I was about to say something. And listen, he is my president. He is our president. We should all, and we're talking about just because it's President Trump, we all want him to be wrong. I think the United States, we all have to realize he is our president. We want him to succeed because
no matter who's president,
that's
we should have
right.
that attitude. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
We want him to succeed. We need to help him succeed because it helps everybody, all of us succeed.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and that's Jensen Huang, that is the head of NVIDIA, the president of NVIDIA, and more people need to talk like that. He is our president. We should want him to be successful. And I got to tell you, listen to this guy, the head of the biggest company in the world. He says he's doing things right. Now, I know a lot of you people don't trust big corporations. I'm just I'm different in that way. I think people that have worked their way up, this is they worked their way up and gotten to these levels. Doesn't mean you do everything they say, but they are worth listening to. I've got another piece of audio that I'd like to play right now that is also kind of from this interaction also. Listen to this.
Me. First of all, he's an incredibly good listener. Almost everything I've ever said to him, he's remembered.
Yeah, people don't. They only want to look at negative stories about him or negative narratives about him.
Part of his charm, part of his genius is just he says what's on his mind.
Yes,
and
that's which is also, like an anti-politician in a lot of ways.
Right. So what's on his mind is really what's on his mind,
and he's telling you what he believes.
I do that
some
too.
people. Some people would rather be lied to.
Yeah, but I like the fact that he's telling you what's on his mind. Almost every time he explains something, and he says something, he starts with you could tell his love for America, what he wants to do for America, and everything that he thinks through is very practical and very common sense, and it's very logical.
So we got a text message in from Rhett on the conversation that we had related to the car buying time. It says, it's the time of year for matching new cars in the car driveway. And the wife walks up to the red one and says, I love it. And the husband goes, I got that for me, but can't say that because he has to take the black one. So anyway, black car's okay too. Red cars get you in trouble. So don't get a red car. Have you ever had a red car?
I have not. I've only had silver cars, but my dad, he has a red Dodge Challenger 2014, and so he went all out with it, Martha. He got some black racing stripes on it too. And as far as I know, as far as he's told me, and I was in the car with him at the time, he's only gotten one ticket because it drives so smooth. He was going, I think it was, let's just say 70 in like a 55, and he said, "Oh, watch this, I can try and get out of this one." And the cop told him, said, "Oh, you're going with this amount." He's like, I'm not getting out of this one. Not
well, I had a red Dodge Shadow Turbo.
Okay.
Back in the day, which I got stopped coming back from a Christmas party, and how I got out of it was I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, officer." I'm a girl and I was younger. "I'm sorry, officer. I just am not used to this road not having any traffic, and I just lost track of how fast I was going." He gave me a warning. It was great. We'll be back. The Zoller Show. We'll be back.
Waste Eliminator is a full-service waste management company providing critical disposal, recycling, and environmental solutions for business and residential clients. From large-scale commercial projects to smaller residential cleanups, Waste Eliminator offers reliable dumpster rental service tailored to your needs. Whether you're tackling a renovation, new construction, or even a simple home cleanout, Waste Eliminator will manage the waste efficiently and sustainably. Visit online at wasteeliminator.com.
This is the time of the year most of us are checking off our holiday gift list. Identity thieves have lists too, and your personal information might be on that list. Protect your identity with LifeLock. LifeLock monitors hundreds of millions of data points every single second and alerts you to the threats you could miss yourself. If your identity is stolen, your own U.S.-based restoration specialist is going to work to fix it, guaranteed, or your money back. Make this season about joy, not identity theft, with LifeLock. Save up to 40% off your first year at LifeLock.com with the promo code BECK. Terms apply.
If a Lenovo computer for your business is on your holiday list, don't shop around. Just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. It's your last chance to get exclusive deals on the PCs you want for your business, like the ThinkPad X9 14 Aura Edition and Yoga 7i 2-in-1. So avoid all that shopping chaos and price comparing, and just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com, where PCs are up to 35% off. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10 o'clock.
We don't know who he is yet. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News. But after an almost 5-year manhunt and arrest this morning in an attempted bombing in Washington, D.C. the night before the infamous Capitol riot.
We don't know the suspect's name or anything about this person other than the fact this is a male that was living in Northern Virginia.
Fox's David Spunt.
It happened January 5th, 2021. A mysterious person covered from head to toe placed pipe bombs outside both the Democratic National Committee and Republican National Committee here in our nation's capital.
Those bombs were found the next day and never exploded. A short time ago inside the Capitol, a new congressman was sworn in.
I come to this distinguished body as a Christian, a husband, and a father.
Matt Van Epps won a special election for a vacant House seat Tuesday.
The people of Tennessee didn't send me here to just give a speech. They sent me here to deliver. And that is exactly what I intend to do.
This now gives Republicans a 220 to 213 majority in the House until GOP Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene leaves in January. A Navy admiral's at the Capitol, and soon Mitch Bradley will face questions in private before House and Senate committees about one controversial attack and the ongoing military operation blowing up more than 20 boats off the coast of Venezuela, suspected of trafficking illegal drugs.
He's head of U.S. Special Operations Command, and War Secretary Pete Hegseth says ordered a second strike on a suspected drug smuggling boat in the Caribbean September 2nd, killing 2 survivors of the initial strike. The Washington Post reports Secretary Hegseth had ordered before the strikes that everyone be killed, and that Admiral Bradley told people on a secure conference call during the mission that the survivors were legitimate targets because they could theoretically call other traffickers to retrieve them and their cargo.
Fox's Chris Foster. Luigi Mangione is back in court now as his pretrial hearing continues 1 year to the day after the murder he's charged in, the shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in New York City. Mangione's lawyers are trying to get a judge to throw out some of the evidence against him. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here. Always local.
WDUN. From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow. Federal drug charges now have been filed against a man arrested in Gainesville last month. WDUN's Lawson Smith has the latest.
44-year-old Gerardo Solero Alvarado of Mexico was arrested at a home on Brownsbridge Road on November 21st after authorities said he was the driver of a BlackBerry truck found hours earlier to be containing hundreds of pounds of meth. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Georgia said Solero Alvarado was indicted Tuesday on charges of conspiracy and possession of meth with intent to distribute. He was also reportedly found to have been in the U.S. illegally.
Attorney General Chris Carr's gang prosecution unit has convicted 16 members of the 1-8 Trey gangster bloods in Barrow County following a large-scale investigation. More from WDUN's Logan Landers.
Among those convicted was Jamar Ramsey, the statewide leader of 1-8 Trey, who is currently serving a life sentence at Hayes State Prison in Georgia for a previous murder charge. According to a release from Carr's office, while incarcerated, Ramsey directed other defendants to engage in criminal activity to further the 1-8 Trey enterprise.
Meanwhile, a group of entrepreneurs have started the process to open a new bank in Hall County. More details from WDUN's Brian Perkle.
The group reportedly filed an application for a state charter non-member bank with the State Department of Banking Finance. The individuals also applied for deposit insurance with the Federal Deposit Insurance Corporation. The proposed name for the bank is Private Bank and Trust. Only 5 banks have chartered in Georgia since 2008. The proposed location would be on Green Street in Gainesville.
And the newest addition to the Hall County Animal Shelter is about to make its debut through the city streets and bright lights of Gainesville this weekend. That's because the $80,000 mobile adoption unit will be a part of Sunday's Christmas on the Green Street Parade. The new mobile unit was purchased in April of this year and funded by multiple grants from Petco Love, which supports life-saving work for pets. The shelter's manager, Stephanie Malik, says in a press release that the custom 24-foot trailer can hold up to 53 animals and will be fully lit and decorated for all to see during Sunday's parade. There's more news online by going to Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Great Thursday morning to you, North Georgia. It is overcast, quiet. That will be changing later. Low 50s for highs this afternoon with overcast skies. By this evening, here comes the rain. It'll be on and off rain through the overnight hours, lows around 40. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Cornelia, currently 40 degrees, and Young Harris, 37. And in Gainesville, 41. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
This is Nick
and Laura from Nichols Body Shop.
We want you to know it's your choice who repairs your vehicle.
Do not assume you can get the best repair for the cheapest price.
Every shop is different.
We work for you, our customer, to give you the best repair possible.
Learn more by calling 770-967-8200 or come by the shop. Estimates are always free.
You can also find us on Facebook at Nichols Body Shop,
the home of quality repairs
and old-fashioned service.
Give something for Christmas that will last for generations to come. Give a one-of-a-kind jewelry piece from Gainesville Jewelry.
Phil Forrester has put together his most beautiful collection yet. Diamond earrings in every style from studs to 6 carats, along with diamond bracelets and natural gemstones in every color. Plus, hundreds of unique estate pieces personally selected by Phil and Emily Forrester. Best of all, prices start at just $69. Give your special someone something special from Gainesville Jewelry, 1020 Jesse Jewell Parkway, open late Christmas Eve.
Talking about the issues that affect you most. It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. Now from the Northeast Georgia Health System Studio in downtown Gainesville, here's Martha Zoller on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN. Always here, always local.
I didn't shift my politics. The political parties have shifted their politics. The idea that what's being called progressive is in any way progressive is a complete farce. I've been progressive since the beginning of Palantir. I'm continue to be progressive. I grew up in a highly intellectual, mostly Jewish, incredibly left-wing environment. And every Saturday and every Friday, I heard a lecture about how the conservatives are going to destroy this country with illegal immigration because it's going to undermine the fabric of the American worker. That was 50 years ago. That's what it means to be a progressive. And being a progressive doesn't mean just, it feels so good to be involved in dysfunction, things that can never work, a form of socialism that's never worked, having no meritocracy. That's not progressive. That's honestly cowardly. And most people, half my old party knows it. They don't speak up. It will never work. And it does not help. You know, the biggest problem with that is it's not helping the poor people that they claim to serve. If you think that's helping a black person in the inner city, you're ridiculous. The last thing anyone in this country needs is a dysfunctional educational system and handouts that have never worked and are not going to work.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and that's Alex Karp, who is the CEO of Palantir, and he was at this amazing, really balanced summit that they put on at the New York Times called, I want to make sure I get this right here, it's called Deal Book. And they had a really wide range of folks on. And Roger Gewolb is joining me right now because everybody, Roger, over here, and I think there's some of it going over where you are wringing their hands because they don't understand how these, quote, billionaires and all these titans have lined up behind Donald Trump. And what's happened is he's making it more affordable for cars to be manufactured. He's getting energy prices down. He's getting gas prices down. And it's taking some time for people to feel it. But this week has been a week where he's talked a lot about business and making America manufacturing again. And you see the same kind of battles going on in the UK where they're having these battles about what is supposed to happen with the welfare state, what is supposed to happen with other people that are using services in the government. So I see a lot of parallel things happening, but you guys are in a different place because you've got a Labor Party prime minister that doesn't want to offend anybody. And I think what we've learned from Donald Trump is you're going to have to offend people along the way.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're completely different, Martha. I mean, President Trump is basically draining the swamp, as he said he would. He's restoring a common sense in industrial, commercial, military, and so many other areas. And a lot of people don't understand it. A lot of people don't like it. But I mean, I think anybody that thinks about it and looks at what's in front of their nose will see that he's not feeding us the usual politicians' BS. He's telling us what needs to be done, and he's doing it, and it's working. Here in the UK, we have a socialist government that really is only interested in wealth distribution, redistribution. They don't care whether they're driving people out of the country and the tax take even goes down. They'll just raise the taxes more. But they want, people with more money to be feeding people with less money. That's what they're all about. They're socialists, and they're crazy, and they're inexperienced, and their policies are destroying this country. It's the exact opposite of what's happening in America.
So what do you see? Look, I think I never am one of these kind of people that say the end is nigh. I mean, the UK and most European countries have been around for 1,000 years. I mean, the UK's been around. They've been through good times and bad times. Same thing with the United States. I never believe the naysayers that say, that this is it. This is going to be the end of democracy. It's just so dramatic, and it's just not true, because the average person just wants to be able to buy their groceries, get a car every few years, go on a vacation, and save for retirement. That's basically what the average person wants. And what we need to understand is that they need better leadership. Not just, we've got good leadership here now, we've got to keep it. Our job here is we got to keep this better leadership by winning elections in the midterms and that sort of thing. But in the UK, y'all have had a pretty volatile 5 years as far as leadership goes. Do you see anybody emerging that will make things better in the UK?
Well, you raise a lot of points in there. First of all, I don't think anybody's saying the end is nigh and doomsayers. I mean, what they're just saying is, we're going to end up being like Venezuela. They're just going to wreck the economy. They're going to, make things so that a generation of people will have a great deal of difficulties they really don't need to have, because these characters are trying to introduce socialist systems that have been proved over and over again not to work and to cause a lot of destruction. Is there anybody emerging? Well, Nigel Farage and his Reform Party is certainly the top contender for that, but it's pretty obvious to a lot of people that they don't really have an infrastructure yet. And can they really govern if Nigel gets in? Are they set up for that yet? A lot of people say, no, I don't think so, but they've got 3 odd years to get it ready, so they may well do that. But the Conservative Party, you say we've had a bad 5 years. We've had a bad 14 years of the Conservative Tory Party, who wrecked everything they could through sheer incompetence and greed and scandal and sexual misconduct and every other sort of stupid thing they could possibly do. Nobody could get their foot in their mouth that fast. It's almost, like the foot's not moving. It's going in and out so quickly. So we've had that. They're toast. I just don't see how they can come back. I was at a conference the other day with a very top conservative politician, a minister, I won't say who, and he was going blah, 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 on and on and on, sitting next to me. I just fell asleep. The Labor Party, I don't know. I mean, this country is so crazy at the moment that they actually could get reelected, because there's so many people, poorer people that they're playing to, even though those are the ones that they've just screwed with their latest budget of tax measures. Everything in the United Kingdom at the moment seems inside all upside down and backwards, and it's Alice in Wonderland. So we don't know who will get in, but if anyone has a chance, it's probably Reform. But I kind of agree with people that they may not quite be ready yet, but they've got 3 years to do it.
So you think this government will last for 3 years?
I don't know. I'd be amazed. A lot of people say they'd be amazed if Keir Starmer, the prime minister, lasts that long, because he's just so weak. And, he just flaps in the wind from hour to hour. So will he last or not? I don't know. I kind of suspect not. But, yeah, I think that this government may well tough it out over the 3 years, because there's no real viable alternative yet. But, Reform could pull something out of the hat, and there could be a general election or a vote of no confidence or something. It's all up in the air. I mean, it's a real mess here. It's completely the opposite of the States, which is making progress coming back.
That's right. We're heading in the right direction. We've got to.
We're heading in the wrong direction.
And we can't do, though, what the Democrats did last year, which was tell people that what they're thinking about the economy is wrong. Because while a lot of parts of our economy has gotten better, there's no doubt about that. The big challenge is food prices, and because that's what affects everybody. And they're starting to come down now. The president repealed a whole bunch of tariffs on food imports because, Americans expect to have everything in the grocery store all the time, and you can't put tariffs on stuff coming in from the outside in the off season because because then people have to pay more for it, and they don't want to do that. So he's working on that. And this car thing he did yesterday, where he's going to relax the CAFE standards a little bit. He's going to allow Ford and other companies to make more cars that are going to be affordable for people that are in that middle to lower income. And I think that's going to be really positive. He's made the interest on the car loans be deductible again. When all these things from the big, beautiful bill kick in, as well as the Trump accounts for children that are born in the next 3 years, I think that there's going to be a really, if we can stay on message, we're going to have a good 2026. But that's the big problem. You know, when you get to be in the majority, it's harder to stay on message because everybody doesn't have the common enemy.
Yeah, well, when you aren't even clear what the message is, like here, I mean, it's just a complete mess. So you guys are doing really well. I mean, this place is a disaster. People are leaving in droves. Young people are going to Dubai and Australia. 1 millionaire is leaving Britain every 45 minutes. The wealth creators are gone, and the Labour Party doesn't care. Even though that means less taxes, it means redistribution of wealth, and that's what they want, you know. And even Jeremy Corbyn, he could displace Labour, you know, with all the crazy commies here. So it's nuts. You know, this place is. People are just. I mean, every day you hear stories of businesses closing and people leaving in droves, abandoning this island. It's really frightening, Martha.
So last night was a very flashy state dinner that they had with the German president and his wife. Of course, you know, the regalia was out, and they did what the Brits do best, right, is show their best foot in those kind of situations. So were people paying attention to that at all, or is that just an Anglophile like me?
Anglophile like you. I mean, that sort of stuff happens all the time. You know, they're really good. We're really good at it here, and they do that. Even Labour can do that. Even the socialists and the commies can do that with their eyes closed. It's great. It's British tradition.
I love that, Roger.
They went home happy. They were very pleased. You know, yeah. But it doesn't amount to a hill of beans. The next morning, they're going to do something that will be anti-business and wreck any chances of increased trade with Germany and the EU, because they're just so inexperienced. I mean, they do things every day that just don't make any sense. Like they've just increased the minimum wage, which means British employers have said, right, we're not going to hire any more people.
That's right.
So, you know, and then they go, look, we're building growth. I mean, there isn't a member of the British government today that has any experience in business.
Roger Gewolb, you can follow him on his YouTube channel. It's The Gospel According to Roger. Is that what it is?
The Gospel According to Dr. Roger Gewolb. The Gospel According to Dr. Roger.
At Dr. Roger Gewolb. So thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Martha.
We'll take a break.
Get your day going with the show that wakes you up faster than your coffee. Mornings on Main Street on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Let's give the gift that brings families together right around the grill. A Traeger grill from Howard Brothers is more than just a present. It's the secret ingredient for holiday magic. Whether it's slow smoked brisket, holiday ham, or cookies fresh off the grill. Yes, cookies. A Traeger is the gift that keeps on giving all year long. Visit Howard Brothers today and find the perfect Traeger grill for your holiday wish list. Don't wait. Santa's sleigh is filling up fast. Howard Brothers, family owned, locally trusted, and ready to make your Christmas unforgettable.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all our friends and family of Hayes Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac of Baldwin. It's model year closeout and Santa's got some deals over at Hayes. How about new 2025 Sierras up to $12,000 off MSRP with trade assistance, and new 2025 Suburban High Countries up to $10,000 off MSRP, and new 2025 GMC Acadias up to $4,000 off MSRP, and 1.9% finance for up to 36 months. Stop in at Hayes Chevrolet Buick GMC Cadillac in Baldwin.
Hey, Daddy, what's in a crawl space?
That's a good question, Annie. I'm Cody Lovin with Crawl Space Medic. Musty smells, dampness, and sagging insulation means your crawl space or basement might need some attention. Our team quickly finds and fixes moisture problems, updates moisture barriers, and resolves structural issues, ensuring your home stays dry and comfortable. Don't let your crawl space problems affect your comfort, air quality, or property value. Visit crawlspacemedic.com.
A healthy home starts from the ground up.
Check your pockets and you'll find a quarter ready to inspire you to visit the state you find on the back. It's America the Great on a podcast called Quarter Miles Travel, from Virginia's historic sites to the wide open plains of Montana, the low country rhythms of coastal Georgia to the Blue Ridge Mountains of North Carolina. Explore America based on the U.S. Mid-State Quarters. Hi, it's Anita with Travel with Anita and Friends. Quarter Miles Travel is all about pride. Pride in our states and our country. The natural beauty, the history, landmarks, and interesting people all make our country an exceptional place to visit. Go to my website, travelwithanita.com, where you will hear the podcast with stories told by historians and people who know the little-known facts. So come along, let's go on an adventure. Reach in your pocket and pull out that quarter. Flip it over, and Quarter Miles Travel will take it from there. We'll help you turn that quarter into an adventure.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet newsroom, a man arrested in Gainesville after hundreds of pounds of meth were found in a BlackBerry truck last month now faces federal charges. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN talk and text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
What do you make of Mamdani here in New York? And the reason I ask is he was somebody who really actually was able to persuade the younger voter. I mean, he really captured, but obviously on the complete opposite end, if you will, of where someone like Charlie would have been.
You know, it's so interesting because I lived in Manhattan for a while and I loved this city. I'm going to come at this from a female voter because a high percentage of his voters were female. I think there's a tendency, especially when you live in a city like Manhattan, where, again, you are so career-driven and you almost look to the government as a form of replacement for certain things, relationship-wise even. So you see things a little bit differently.
It is the Martha Zoller Show. That is Erica Kirk at this event that they had yesterday in New York City, Deal Book Summit 2025. And it was, I'm not a huge New York Times fan. I feel like Scott Bessent about it, but I think they did a good thing with this. And they do this every year. And they have just completely different groups of people on that can talk in a very calm way about what's happening in the world from their perspective. And I think that's a good thing for us. I see some light at the end of the tunnel, even at this cloudy day that we have. I see people starting to talk to each other. And you know who I think is bringing this about? Donald Trump. Even though I think he's had a tough few weeks, he is right on this narco-terrorism stuff. He is right on making cars more affordable. He is right on doing manufacturing for AI and other things in the United States. He is right on a number of things that are going to get this economy opened back up for people. You're seeing prices start to go down on homes. You need to see interest rates go down even more. But what's got to happen, that even though incomes have gone up about $1,200 this year for the average person, and things are only a 3% increase. So $1,200 if the average salary is about $50,000 a year, then that's roughly 2%. If you make less, it's more. If you make more, it's less. So roughly 2%. But the interest rate this year was about 2.5%. So you're just keeping up with inflation. And we got to do more than that. So that means we got to get inflation down even more. We've got to get revenues up. And these jobs that are being created, here's the key right here. These jobs that are being created need specific kind of skill sets. And we need to make sure as parents, as educators, as people who care about children, that every option is becoming available to them. And here's one of the things that I just love that we do in Georgia public schools. We are starting to introduce the concepts of engineering, of construction, of cybersecurity, of AI, all those kinds of things. We're introducing the initial concepts in 5th grade in elementary school. There's some things like construction we're starting as early as 3rd grade, learning how to measure and that kind of thing. But in 5th grade, we're starting to do basic concepts in fields so that when they get to middle school and to high school and they get offered a program that they could maybe graduate with and go to work, they've had some exposure to it and some idea that, oh, I might like doing that or I might not like doing that. You can join us on the phones at 770-535-2911. You can also text us at that number too. There's a lot. I feel optimistic, probably because I rang the bell for the Salvation Army yesterday. And I do that once a year for my Rotary Club. And it gets me in the holiday spirit. I also get to sing in public. Because if you get to see me, I had to swap my day. I was supposed to do it today because I was going to let you know I was doing it so you could come and watch me sing in public. But they had some cancellation and I was able to fill in, so I wasn't able to tell you about it ahead of time. But I sing Christmas carols while I'm ringing the bell. It passes the time. Sometimes people join in. They feel more festive about giving. It's a great thing, the Salvation Army is. There was this one little girl who came in and she put her little money in, and then they came out of the store, and all the way to the car, she was waving at me. She was turning around and waving at me, and it was so cute. It made me feel so good because I was singing along to all the Christmas carols. I even had my music playing in my back pocket. Now, you would have loved this, Logan. There is a picture out there of it. I put my little phone in my back pocket with the Christmas music on so I could sing along.
Yeah.
And it was there. It was great.
And that's what's such a great thing about really, Christmas, just the holiday season, is everyone's a little bit more cheerful with all the doom and gloom going on in the world. It's moments like that you remember a lot more.
Well, and the day after Thanksgiving and the Cyber Monday and all that stuff actually was better than expected.
Yeah, it was.
And that's good because you feel a little more confident in the economy if you're spending more money on Christmas. Although, well, I shouldn't say we don't spend more money. We don't buy as much stuff. We are giving more contributions to college funds now, which is where the biggest chunk of what we spend on Christmas goes. But we also buy a little something to go along with it. We'll be back. Lots more to come.
I'm Frank Norton with the Norton Agency. Success is intertwined with life on Lake Lanier. We grew up on the lake and understand its unique real estate dynamics. We've sold more shoreline than any other real estate firm. We're Lake Lanier natives, specialists, and above all, advocates for the needs of our clients. Norton, now more than ever. Call us at 770-532-0022 or look for us on the web at gonorton.com. Our family, serving North Georgia for 4 generations.
If a Lenovo computer for your business is on your holiday list, don't shop around. Just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com. It's your last chance to get exclusive deals on the PCs you want for your business, like the ThinkPad X9 14 Aura Edition and Yoga 7i 2-in-1. So avoid all that shopping chaos and price comparing, and just go directly to the source, Lenovo.com, where PCs are up to 35% off. That's Lenovo.com.
Lenovo. Welcome back to Winter Hack Radio, the place for clever hacks to survive the season. Icy driveway? Well, try spreading sand or birdseed to help with traction. Snowy puppy paws? Well, grab a whisk, brush it off, done. Catch COVID-19? Well, just get...
Actually, there's no hack for COVID-19. But if you test positive, prescription medications for COVID exist. Ask your doctor if they're right for you. Visit PfizerForAll.com to learn more. Sponsored by Pfizer.
Friday game night playoff action continues. On AM 550, Buford hits the road to take on Valdosta. On 102.9 WDUN, Jefferson hosts West Lawrence. And on 94.5 FM, Gainesville travels to Langston Hughes. Coverage starts at 6:30 with the Prep Tailgate Show on your home of Friday game night. WDUN Gainesville, WDUN FM Clarksville, Gainesville. Always here, always local.
It's 10:30.
Fox News, I'm CJ Papa. Republicans have a new member of the House today, swearing in Congressman Matt Van Epps.
The people of Tennessee didn't send me here to just give a speech. They sent me here to deliver. And that is exactly what I intend to do.
He defeated Democrat State Rep Efton Bain in Tuesday's special election in Nashville, Tennessee. The FBI arrests a man suspected of planting bombs at the RNC and DNC headquarters on January 5th, 2021, just hours before the Capitol riot the next day. The 2026 World Cup draw takes place at noon Eastern at the Kennedy Center in D.C. Fox's Frank Lanza.
Canada, the U.S., and Mexico are the host countries. Legendary athletes Tom Brady, Wayne Gretzky, Aaron Judge, and Shaquille O'Neal will all take part. Comedian Kevin Hart and model Heidi Klum will host the event.
The tournament kicks off in June on Fox. America's listening to Fox News.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, I'm Steve Winslow, and federal drug charges have now been filed against a man arrested in Gainesville last month. WDUN's Caleb Hutchins with more.
44-year-old Gerardo Solorio Alvarado of Mexico was arrested at a home on Brownsbridge Road on November 21st after authorities said he was the driver of a BlackBerry truck found hours earlier to be containing hundreds of pounds of meth. The U.S. Attorney's Office for the Northern District of Georgia said Solorio Alvarado was indicted Tuesday on charges of conspiracy and possession of meth with intent to distribute. He was also reportedly found to have been in the U.S. illegally.
Northeast Georgia Health System and Longstreet Clinic have resumed their planned merger after it paused earlier this year. More from WDUN's Lawson Smith.
The two Gainesville-based healthcare providers both announced in April of this year that they plan to bring Longstreet under the NGHS umbrella. Those plans, however, were put on pause in August after NGHS officials said they learned that a Longstreet physician was under investigation by the U.S. Department of Justice. Now, both providers say the merger is back on with planned completion early next year.
And a family physician with more than 20 years' experience in Northeast Georgia is bringing her skills to Northeast Georgia Physicians Group's Hamilton Mill patients. Dr. Carla Price has spent time with the well-established primary care clinic in Winder between 2002 and 2022 before she opened a growing clinic in Jefferson 3 years ago. More details about Dr. Price's background and experience can be found with more news at Access WDUN. Now here's your Access WDUN weather forecast.
Low 50s for highs this afternoon with overcast skies. By this evening, here comes the rain. It'll be on and off rain through the overnight hours, lows around 40. From the Access WDUN Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Holly Strano.
In Commerce, 43 degrees, Baldwin, 40, and in Gainesville, 42. From North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Get ready to sparkle at Gainesville's newest holiday celebration. The entire family will be dazzled at Gainesville Glow's Lanterns and Lights, the Atlanta Botanical Garden Gainesville's light show extravaganza. Stroll through a woodland wonderland of colorful trees, glowing displays, and an amphitheater of choreographed light and sound. Roast some s'mores, sip some cocoa, take those selfies, and best of all, make new memories. Get tickets for select nights November 20th through January 4th at atlantabg.org.
Whether it's a slip that ends in a slip disc, a trick knee that's holding you back, or shoulder pain hurting your game, you can count on Northside Hospital Orthopedics. With leading care in Georgia at convenient locations all across the state, we're here to get you back on your feet, no matter what comes your way. Because Georgia moves us, and we keep Georgia moving. Find a provider near you at northside.com/ortho. That's northside.com/ORTHO.
It's the Martha Zoller Show, presented by Gainesville Mechanical. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
Data out tomorrow, and it shows that continued new supply and weaker demand are pushing vacancies up and rents down. The national median monthly rent for apartments fell 1% in November from October and now stands at $1,367. That's according to Apartment List. It was the fourth consecutive month-over-month decline. Apartment rents are now down 1.1% from November of last year and have fallen 5.2% from their 2022 peak. Now, vacancies hit a record high of 7.2% in October. That was unchanged in November. This index dates back to 2017. It comes after a really historic surge in apartment construction brought on big by the pandemic. Since it takes a while to build a large building, this supply is still on the high side.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and it's good, it's good news to hear that rents are coming down. I think that makes it difficult for a lot of people that are out there. I want to make homes more affordable, though, and I hope what's going to happen that there's somebody out there. I know I hear it from builders all the time. There's no money in building a $300,000 house. Okay, that's really hard for me to say out loud. But we've got to we got to find out a way to do it. We've got to find out a way to let people get on that property ladder. Now, I've been talking about this meeting that they've had in New York yesterday with the New York Times, and it was called Deal Book Summit 2025. And I've mentioned Scott Besson a couple of times. Here is the beautiful thing that he said to the New York Times reporter.
The question is, is this like a new normal?
That, Andrew, there's no new normal, and I can tell you that I actually don't read the New York Times anymore. That sometimes I do watch CNBC, but occasionally people send me articles, and there's just this fever swamp. And you're now a pop historian with 1929. And, in 20, 30, 40, 50 years, the New York Times is no longer the paper of record. You can't go, I read this article, President Trump is slowing down, President Trump's mental capacity. It is 100% fake. That, he only called me twice at 2 a.m. last week instead of 3 times.
You're saying he called you? I believe that he called you at 2 or 3 in the morning.
That whole narrative. You had what was one of the greatest scandals of all time, that the coverage of the Biden administration, Joe Biden's diminished capacity, and the cover-up.
And that's why it's probably fair to raise these questions.
Where was the New York Times? We just had a 3-hour cabinet meeting yesterday, Andrew. For 10 months, the Biden administration did not have a cabinet meeting. How are you going to invoke the 25th Amendment if the cabinet secretaries never see the president? Which they didn't. That, I hear from people in the Treasury building that I see President Trump more in a day than my predecessor saw Joe Biden in half a year.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, so that's true. He said, look, the guy's trying to say, well, this is why we're asking these questions, because we missed the other story. And I guess, that's a fair point. However, they didn't go without cabinet meetings. Trump's had 4 of them. Now, Stephen said, Martha, one of the biggest issues with all of the improvements and headways that the president is making rests on the institutions that use the improvements to make more profit off the taxpayers. Case in point, when the government decided to give the consumer $7,500 to buy a new EV, Ford quickly raised their EV prices. This is also the same issue we have regarding the healthcare sector and health insurance companies. Let's say not seek to reduce costs, we can raise our prices and get a check from the government tax office as well. That's what Stephen had to say. And then I appreciate your positive outlook, but I disagree. I do think some of these countries that have been around for hundreds of years could come to an end if things don't change dramatically. They tell us what they're doing. They do it in front of our face, and we're doing nothing about it. I hope we don't realize it too late. Here's why I'm optimistic. Is if you look at Denmark, for example, who is one of these social states that provides everything, really, pays for education and helps with apartment, gives a stipend for living expenses, all this kind of stuff. And they had a huge influx of Syrian immigrants and other kinds of Muslim immigrants in Denmark. And they have put their foot down, and they have said, no, they've outlawed the burqa. They've said, well, no, we're not doing call to prayer, and they're turning a bunch of these people around. They've done that in Denmark. In Poland, they've done the same thing. There is starting to be a movement in Europe, and we're starting to see people pushback in the UK and in France. France has really had the problem for the longest because they have this crazy immigration policy that if you were ever a French protectorate, that you can come to France without having to have a visa or anything like that. And so because of that, they've had a huge Arab influx because Northern Africa was mostly French for years, for generations. And if you go, Paris is beautiful. It's still clean. It's still basically a great place for tourists. But if you go outside, they have these different neighborhoods and they have these rings around Paris. If you go outside a certain ring, it's like nothing but ghettos. It's nothing but places where people can't get jobs. It's mostly Muslim, and they have all kinds of problems there. So it's problems everywhere. But I hear what you're saying, Stephen, and look, countries are going to change. They are going to change over time. I hope we don't. I hope we see it. I hope we're starting to see it with what's happening with the Somali corruption that's been going on in Minnesota. Of all places, Minnesota. I mean, come on, man. You take a bunch of, and this was the Clinton and Obama administration, that they took a bunch of Somali immigrants who were used to living in the desert and sent them to Minnesota. Okay, no wonder they're angry, because they got cold weather for 9 months of the year. So but I'm making a joke where I shouldn't make a joke because they totally used our governmental system to set up NGOs and to take money and to give it to terrorists. So they took American tax dollars and gave it to terrorists, the Al-Qaeda branch that's in Somalia. And I'm telling you what, this, Ilhan Omar, I get that a particular congresswoman gets elected by her district, and evidently she must do enough to get reelected, but this woman is not a loyal American. This woman says she is Somali first. And we don't need to be electing anybody to the United States Congress that has an allegiance to a foreign country. Now, one of the things the Trump administration is doing is getting rid of dual citizenship. There's some countries that don't allow it, and we don't technically allow it, but we don't disallow it if a country allows it. And what I mean by that is you can be an Israeli-American citizenship if your citizenship is first Israeli. Then you can add your American citizenship and not have to give up your Israeli. There's some countries that are like that. They're going to these folks now and they're saying you got to choose. You're either an Israeli, and I'm using that as an example, but there's other countries that do this. You're either Israeli or you're American. You can't be both. And even though Israel is a friend of ours, they're saying that. You can't have dual allegiance. I don't know if you can have dual allegiance from Somalia, but I think it's a good thing. I mean, we were talking about Jensen Huang at the top of this, and he is a dual citizenship with Taiwan. I'm sure they're going to come to him, and they're going to say you either have to be American or you have to be Taiwanese. And I bet you I know what he's going to pick. He's American. He, I'm sure, considers himself American. So we'll see how all of this happens. But I appreciate the questions, that I do think that we've got a problem regarding healthcare and other things. Now, Rand Paul has got a new program out that is a healthcare replacement plan that is free market. And we're trying to get him on, or somebody from his team on, to talk about how that's going to work, because that's what we need to find is a free market program. We need to go back and look at what Tom Price did back when he was in Congress, because he had a great program too. We have got to get everything back to a free market with guardrails, okay? As Larry Burkett said, the free market, capitalism is just greed unless it has a moral compass. And the reason why capitalism works so well in Christian countries is because we have a moral compass. So we've got to have that moral compass, but we have to get back to free market capitalism in order to make things work. We'll be back.
Wake up and speak up.
Wake up. Come on, wake up, America.
Join the conversation weekdays at 9 with the Martha Zoller Show on North Georgia's News Talk, AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
This is Mark Turner with Select Pest Control, and my grandkids want to tell you a story.
'Twas the night before Christmas, when all through the house,
not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. 'Cause they called Select Pest Control, duh. Select Pest Control wants to wish you Merry Christmas.
If you want to have a pest-free Christmas, give Select Pest Control a call at 770-536-8837. And Merry Christmas.
What if I'm survived by a spouse with dementia or in a nursing home? Will they be protected? This is Kevin Tharp, elder law and estate planning attorney, and I've been helping people in your situation for over 35 years. And I can help you protect your loved ones when the time comes. But you need to make the first call. Visit my website at kevintharp.com and learn how to get help planning for the future of your loved ones. That's kevintharp.com.
When you have a problem with your roof, you want someone who can respond quickly, but also who knows roofing. That's what you get at Georgia Select Roofing. This is Chris Earls, and we do roofing right. Estimates are free, we can help you navigate your insurance claim, and we also offer financing. Check out our Google reviews, and you'll see that Georgia Select Roofing offers the best service around. See us today at georgiaselectroofing.com or call us at 678-316-6899. Family owned and operated, Georgia Select Roofing has you covered.
My Patriot Supply, America's most trusted survival food company, wishes you and yours a very Merry Christmas. As our gift to you, we've got an amazing deal on survival food kits. Buy one, gift two. That's right, for a limited time, when you grab our best-selling 4-week emergency food kit, we'll include 2 one-week kits free to hand out as gifts. That's 4 weeks of emergency food for you, and 2 ready-to-give gifts for anyone on your list who's into preparedness, or anyone who needs a nudge in that direction. But they're only available for a limited time. Grab yours at mypatriotsupply.com and give the gift of food security this Christmas. With 2,000 calories per day, 16 delicious meal and snack varieties, and up to 25-year shelf life, it's no wonder our 4-week food kit is the best-selling emergency food supply of all time. But the buy one, gift two Christmas special won't last long. So claim yours now at mypatriotsupply.com. That's mypatriotsupply.com.
Always here, always local.
From the Access WDUN Hardy Chevrolet Newsroom, 16 members of the 1-8 trade gangster bloods in Barrow County are convicted following a large-scale investigation. Details at Access WDUN and coming up on North Georgia's News Talk.
Use the Access WDUN Talk and Text line, presented by M&R Rental at 770-535-2911, and be part of the conversation. From the Northeast Georgia Health System studio in downtown Gainesville, it's the Martha Zoller Show on AM 550 and FM 102.9 WDUN.
I was shooting arrows in my backyard and randomly get this call from Trump, and he's hanging out with you.
President Trump called, and I called you.
Yeah, it's just...
We were talking about you.
It's just we were
talking about you. He was talking about the UFC thing he was going to do in his front yard.
Yeah.
And he pulls out, Jensen, look at this design. He's so proud of it. And I go, you're going to have a fight in the front lawn in the White House? He goes, yeah. Yeah, you're going to come. This is going to be awesome. And he's showing me his design and how beautiful it is. And he goes, and somehow your name comes up. He goes, do you know Joe? And I said, yeah, I'm going to be on his podcast. He said, let's call him.
He's like a kid.
I know, let's call him.
He's like a 79-year-old kid.
He's so incredible.
Yeah, he's an odd guy.
It is the Martha Zoller Show, and that's a little more from that podcast, which is definitely worth a listen because this is one of the most powerful men in the world. And I think it's encouraging to hear that he's so grounded, so down to earth, so regular. You know, you don't think a guy that's built a company like NVIDIA is going to be like a normal guy. And you saw this week, you know, everybody wants to talk about billionaires, the oligarchs, like Bernie Sanders says. I know that doesn't sound like him, Logan, but it's like, that's what I think of every time I hear that word, the oligarchs.
So you got to put that Vermont twist on it.
I know, Vermont. Brooklyn is what it is. But anyway, it's so funny. But you got Michael and Susan Dell giving $6.5 billion. It is twice the amount of money they have given in their entire lifetimes. And they're encouraging other people to give that kind of money. Now, there is one thing I think that the, quote, millionaires and billionaires could do better, and that's more philanthropy. I know they do a lot because there's an old story from way back when, the original billionaire, Warren Buffett, I don't know if he's the original one, but pretty close to the OG. And he employed his sister because he would get so many letters, sob stories of people needing money. And it was her job to go through them and determine which ones were legit. And he had a kind of habit of helping people out with health care expenses, but he would do it pretty much anonymously. Trump had the same kind of deal. He had somebody that would go through, he would either see a story and ask his secretary to run it down and see what was happening with that, or he would do something else, but he would just like randomly pay off people's mortgages and do things for people. And it's great if you can do those random things, and you hear lots of stories of people doing that kind of stuff. But then they start putting a shell around themselves, because when you become the wealthy person in your group, whether you're a millionaire, billionaire, whatever, soon to be trillionaire, you tend to be, people expect you to pay for everything. And your relationships get hurt because people that were your friends that maybe you're doing well but aren't doing as well as you are. Richard Paul Evans told this story, is that all of a sudden the people he grew up with assumed just because he had money, he would pay for everything. And there was no kind of balance anymore in his relationships. And so you've got to be careful about that. I understand that. But I do agree that billionaires and millionaires and all of us could do a lot more charitably in our own communities. And maybe if you're a billionaire, your community's bigger than maybe us helping out with Project Yet, which I talked about earlier in the program, that will help young people in this community. So it's, you do what you can do. But I can just tell you from our own experience, as my husband and I have become more generous, we have been more blessed. We have been more blessed in every way you can. That doesn't mean that we never have any problems. We have a big family with a lot of diverse views. And we're not very good at disagreeing with each other. So we avoid that. And I don't know if that's completely the best thing to do, but it's how we deal with stuff. Because in the long run, is it really worth it fighting it out? Or is it better to just get along because you never know when tomorrow's your last day? I struggle with that question. I'd love to know what you do in your own families, because I struggle with the question of, really, what I'm trying to do now is to sleep on it for a day. If I'm still angry about it the next day, then I might say something to somebody about it. But I can guarantee you that if I've slept on it for a day, the language I use is not as incendiary than I would have used if I went it. It's kind of like punishing a child, okay? You could not, one of the things Buddy Langston, who was my pediatrician, said, of course, you've got to, if your kid's about to run out into the street, you have to jerk them back immediately. If your kid is about to do something dangerous, you've got to pull them out of that situation immediately. And you might hurt them unintentionally, not badly, but you've got to, the danger they're about to face is greater than you pulling them away from the danger. And that's what you have to do. But otherwise, you got to think. You got to think about things and not do things in anger. And people are laughing, I know, when I'm saying this, because it's really hard not to do things in anger. The whole motivation of our political structure right now is for you to be angry. You to be angry at other people, you to be angry at other processes. But I guarantee you, if you take the time to talk to people and get to know them a little bit better, that even the ones you patently disagree with, you're going to find some common ground. Now, on either end of the spectrum, there is about 10 to 15% of people that you just can't talk to. You just can't talk to. They're not going to listen. All they care about is yelling and screaming. You're not going to do it. But that leaves you about 70% of the people that are reasonable. And that's the people we need to be talking to. Now, I understand, Stephen, what you're saying about not feeling like, not being as optimistic as I am. Most people are not. This is why I have a great husband.